Sales is the most lucrative skill in the world, period. The problem is most sales advice out there today is outdated, cheesy, and could even keep you from the deals that can make all the difference in your career. This is the No BS Sales School, a podcast for entrepreneurs and salespeople who want to master the skill of selling without all the BS. I was watching a YouTube video this weekend. I don't know how it popped up on my feed, but it popped up on my feed. And it was this show. I don't know what kind of random, maybe it's just a YouTube show of some kind, where they'll bring somebody in and they'll ask them, he'll have somebody that he loved in high school that maybe the other person didn't know that he loved them. And now they were giving him a chance to tell this person that he loves them now 20 years later. Some goofy thing, right? So he tells his story about how when he was in high school, he was a dork and that nobody paid him much attention, but there was this beautiful girl and he always loved her from afar and he just thinks she's great, but he wasn't ready for her then, was his comment. He said, I was not the man that I am today, but now I've made it. I feel good about myself as a man and I'm ready to tell her that I loved her and still love her. And I am ready to let her and just see what happens. So great, kind of gutsy, good for him. So the next scene is they bring the girl in. Whew, not my type, had tats on her neck and all this shit, gross. But anyway, the people running the show said, okay, there was this guy who loved you in high school. He always admired you. He admired you from afar. He never kind of spoke out to you then. He was embarrassed. He wasn't the man that he is now. And he wants to let you know and see what could happen. And they said, hey, can you think about who it might have been? And she thinks about it and she names like 3 or 4 different football players and that wasn't it. And then there was some other guy that she named and that wasn't it. Then all of a sudden, from behind the stage, out walks this guy. And she doesn't even have a recognition of him. You could see it in her face. But he comes up and he says, whatever your name is, he said, I just want you to know, I've always loved you from afar. I am a much better man now. I'm successful. I've got all this stuff. I would love to go out with you. I would love to go out with you. Or, will you go out with me? She looks at him. There's not much change in her face. And what she said was, well, let me think it over. Womp, womp. We all know what that means. When she said that, that meant no. I don't want to tell you that, but it means no. It was so clear. It was clear to anybody watching that video that what she was saying was no. Yet, we in our own sales calls, we get in front of a prospect. Maybe you do everything that you know to do and you do it right? Whatever that means in your world. You do it right. And you make a deal with somebody at the beginning of the sales call. Let's just pretend you were doing it really right. And you made a deal with somebody at the beginning of your sales call. Let's figure out whether or not it makes sense to move forward together. Sign a contract, do business together, whatever that is, right? Whatever you've decided, let's figure that out by the end. And if I, the salesperson, don't think you should do this or don't think I'm ready for you, I'm just going to tell you so. And, would you mind telling me the same? If you're not sure you want my help or want to move forward about what we have, do you mind just telling me so as well? And, most people say, well, sure, right? And then we might decide, to say yes, which could mean, sign the contract, whatever, right? We agree to what that might be. And then you have the sales call. And at the end of the sales call, your prospect says, let me think it over. Why is it then that we will argue, no, that's not a no. It's something. They really do need to think about it. They really do need to do blah, 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 blah. Bullshit, right? If your agreement from the beginning of the meeting is, let's figure out whether or not we should move forward. We can tell each other no. Here's what yes would mean. We've agreed to what yes would mean. And you get to the end of the meeting and they say, let me talk to my partner. Why don't I sleep on this for the night? Why don't you call me in a week? Here's what I want you to hear. no. I want you to hear no. That is a freaking no. And I want you to be perfectly cool with no. That's the difference. This poor guy in the video, he was devastated by no. And I totally get it. He put himself out there and he got to think it over. Remember the phrase I want you to always keep in the back of your mind and the front of your mind. Some will, some won't. So what? Who's next? By definition, right? If we set our meeting up correctly and we have all our agreements in place, the agreements either say yes, and this is what it happens, or anything less than that, we're going to call it a no. And so be clear. At the end of your meeting, if your prospect can't say yes, go ahead and call it a no. It's perfectly okay. I'm Walker McKay with No BS Sales. I've got a free mini course for you if you'd like to download it. It's called 7 Expensive Sales Mistakes. It'll show you 7 mistakes, everything from not prospecting enough to talking too much in a sales call to a lot of the mistakes that people make in B2B sales and what you can do about it. It's quick. It should be very quick. You should be able to get good information from it and walk away at least recognizing, boy, here are some things I've been doing wrong that have been costing me money. And Walker gave me instructions on what to do differently next time. Thanks for listening to the No BS Sales School podcast. If you're struggling to close deals, then I want to invite you to take my free mini course where you'll learn the 7 most expensive sales mistakes that will cost you time, money, and credibility. So be sure to click the link in the show notes or go to www.7salesmistakes.com. That's the number 7salesmistakes.com. Thanks again for listening to the No BS Sales School podcast.